Anybody who's got their head poked into the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment community and knows what's going on and knows how cops treat the general public, especially when they think they're ignorant, but they already walk around like they're untouchable. But what if they got a nationwide blanket approval from a sitting president to escape from any and all prosecution for the crimes that they commit? Because that's what just happened. That's essentially what Donald Trump just said is going to happen by broad brushing. And he was very general about this by basically saying that he's going to indemnify policemen and all law enforcement. In other words, he's going to hold them guiltless for any crimes that they might commit while they're on the job. And to indemnify does mean to hold them guiltless, to view them as innocent, no matter what they do. And there's a lot of ramifications here, especially if you plan on holding your local police, state police, federal police accountable by exercising your First Amendment right to freedom of press, standing on a public sidewalk and recording the actions of the police. Even though the Supreme Court upheld that and said it's okay to do that, what if we do one day have a seating president? I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it would be a Joe Biden or Barack Obama or a Donald Trump or a Ronald Reagan. Is this something we really need to do? And also, it doesn't really matter what you think about law enforcement. I think I think all cops are good. All cops are bad. I think some cops are good and other cops are bad. It doesn't matter what you think about that. Isn't it a bad idea to give a human being the kind of power where if you committed a crime, you're not going to be prosecuted for that crime? This is what we're talking about here. This is the carrot that Trump is dangling over the law enforcement community and all the bootlickers who placate to, bow down, and support the law enforcement community. This is from Newsmax. Trump is going to indemnify policemen and law enforcement. Now listen to the wording here. It's so broad, it's so general, and I know this is just something that Trump threw out there, but he's seriously considering it. He has a lot of supporters. Law enforcement has a lot of bootlicking supporters. And I wouldn't doubt if something like this actually passed in our society, which would be dreadful for each and every American. It says, speaking to one of the most crime-ravaged cities in President Joe Biden's America, former President Donald Trump is vowing a new law and order presidential campaign platform that will protect police from legal liability. So if they come up to you and they abuse you, they give you an unlawful command or directive and you refuse to comply because it is unlawful and it's a directive that basically violates your Constitution, no legal liability for the guy who committed the crime against you. And that's what it is. When you reach out your hand to violate the rights of anybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what kind of uniform you have or what kind of title you have, I don't care if you're a politician or a police officer, when you violate the rights of somebody else, you transgress their will, you do something they don't want you to do, you have committed a crime. Matter of fact, that is the working definition of a crime, to violate somebody's will. Trump says, quote, "We are going to do something that I will say is slightly controversial, but it shouldn't be. We are going to indemnify policemen and precincts and states and cities from being sued." So when they do things that are in other words, hold them completely guiltless, they will not be harmed in any way by any kind of lawsuit, any kind of civil litigation. This is his dream right here. This is the reality he wants to introduce into our lives. We're going to indemnify policemen, precincts, states, and cities from being sued. No mention in there of, but what if the policemen, the precincts, the states, and the cities are absolutely in the wrong and they violate the Constitution of the United States, which is still supposed to be the supreme law of the land? Trump told the New York Young Republicans Club Gala in a speech on Saturday night, quote, "We want them to do their job." In other words, we don't want them to be hamstrung. We don't want them to be interfered with. We don't want the police to be infringed upon. They have to be free to do what they feel like they need to do to bring law and order. Trump has long railed against the defunding the police movement and Marxist attacks on law enforcement. This is Newsmax, which is decidedly pro-Republican and conservative, but this is a false dichotomy. Just because you want to defund police doesn't mean that you back BLM, or that you're a Marxist, or that you're a communist. What if you're just an American who loves freedom and you see that this human being right here who just happens to have a clown costume on and a badge and comes with the authority of the state, that doesn't obscure my vision and keep me from calling things the way they really are. This man in this uniform violated this man's rights. I don't care what color his skin is. See, this is an illusion. This is a false dichotomy of, oh, if you want to defund the police, then you're a Marxist, you're a BLMer, you're a communist. Nothing could be further from the truth. Maybe some of them do, but he is vowing to take his law and order platform to a new level, protecting police from lawsuits to protect American citizens. Let's see. We're going to protect police from lawsuits to protect American citizens. That's like saying we're going to protect carjackers and we're going to indemnify them. We're going to hold them guiltless and they won't be able to be harmed by any kind of lawsuit as they're stealing your vehicle so that we can protect car owners. Or we're going to protect the common thief who broke into your house in order to protect homeowners. It's ludicrous. Our police and law enforcement has to come back, and they want to come back, and they want to do their job. And we are going to indemnify them so they don't lose their wife, their family, their pensions, their jobs. What if they deserve to lose their wife and their family and their pension and their job? What if they deserve to lose their freedom? What if they, like Amber Geiger, decided one day, whether because she's working a 14-hour shift or she's drunk or whatever, walks into the wrong apartment and shoots a man eating ice cream on his own couch in his own apartment, and then she only gets 10 years and she's up for parole this year? Where's the limit? Because it looks to me like the sky's the limit right here. We're going to identify policemen and law enforcement, and we're going to tell them to get out. We love you. Do your job. Just go ahead. Go do your job. Don't worry. Don't worry about any repercussions that might come when you make the decision to violate somebody's rights. I know he's not saying that, but he leaves it so broad that it includes that. The rise in crime is one of President Joe Biden's administration's biggest shortcomings, Trump told attendees. We are going to do a job that nobody's been able to do, and we're going to bring law and order back. Nobody wants disorder and chaos. But when political parasites, and I don't care if it's a Democratic political parasite or Republican political parasite or any kind of party-affiliated political parasite, when they say law and order, they are not talking about the opposite of chaos and ruin. They are talking about, hey, we're going to lay down the law. It's going to be our law. And if we have to violate rights to ensure that that law is carried out, well, by golly, that's what we're going to do. Because that's the way a lot of law enforcement officers behave. The Biden administration and criminal justice warriors in the Democratic Party have, quote, released murderers, rapists, and gang members, savages all, on innocent people who walk the streets of our city. Well, if you got your head screwed on right, you can see that, hey, that's what's going on under the auspices of, hey, we're the police. We're here to serve and protect you when they turn around and harass and collect from you. Namely, Philip Brailsford. Daniel Shaver committed absolutely no crime. He was shaking in his shoes. He was trying to fulfill and obey the rapid fire commands of Philip Brailsford from the Mesa Police Department and his henchmen, and he lost his life. So that's a murderer. Gang members, savages all, that's a savage. And guess what? He got acquitted. So if they already have Terry v. Ohio and they already have Pennsylvania v. Mims, and they have this idea that they've got qualified immunity, how much worse is it going to be when they know they have a sitting president who has their backs and offers them even more immunity than they already have? I can tell you it's not going to be good for Americans. It will be good for police. It will be good for precincts. It will be good for the state and counties and cities, but it's not going to be good for Americans. Because it's already bad for Americans now. It's only going to get exponentially worse with this kind of mentality going on. They want Americans to be weak and poor, confused, divided, and afraid. Why they want that, I don't know. That's the only thing I can't figure out. If you put me back in the White House, however, their reign will be over and America will be free, a free nation once again. Yeah, and the new reign will begin. The reign of law enforcement who are indemnified. You can't sue them no matter what. Leave your thoughts about this for the world. I don't care it doesn't matter what you think about Trump. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or Biden supporter or for police or against police. Do you think it's a good idea to indemnify people who've already grabbed the ring of power? We know power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. More than that, it's like power attracts the corruptible. So it's the corruptible that are attracted to police departments. They already have qualified immunity in Terry v. Ohio. Now they're going to get an extra layer of protection where they're indemnified no matter what. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought, please, in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification icon. Give it a thumbs up. Share it with everybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe to my email list through my website, highimpactflix.com, if you want to support the channel further. Grab a shirt, become a channel member, but more importantly, know your rights, stand for your rights, and exercise your rights. If you don't exercise your rights, somebody out there is going to take your rights from you. Freedom is dangerous. The only thing more dangerous is not having freedom. I'll see you in the next video.